Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming to today's meeting. If you could please rise and join me in the flag salute. Right hand over your heart, ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, City Clerk. Can you do call roll, please?
Mayor Ibarra,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Davis.
Yes.
Councilmember Lopez. Here. Councilmember Larios.
Here.
Councilmember Merlo. You have a quorum.
Thank you. May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll move.
May I have a
Second.
second?
Motion by Councilmember Lopez, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Davis to approve the agenda. I'll call the roll. Mayor Ibarra,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Davis.
Yes.
Councilmember Lopez.
Yes.
Councilmember Larios.
Yes.
Councilmember Merlo.
Thank
Motion
you.
carries.
Now we'll take public comment from members of the audience. If you'd like to provide comment through Zoom, please click the raise hand button. Are there any public comments at this time?
There are none.
Are there any public comments? Seeing that there isn't any, we'll now go on to presentation item. Agenda item number 1 is the California Highway Patrol 10851 Grand Theft Auto Recovery Award. Police Chief Sosa will present the item.
Good morning. Just give me a
Good
second here, get everybody inside. Good morning, Honorable Mayor, members of City Council. Apologize. CHP is supposed to be here this morning, as luck would have it, and ironically, they're stuck in traffic. So go figure. So I'll present the award. The 10851 Grand Theft Auto Award is named after California Vehicle Code section pertaining to motor vehicle theft. The award is sponsored in collaboration between the CHP and AAA and recognizes law enforcement officers throughout California who have been proactive in recovering stolen vehicles and apprehending criminals involved in auto theft. The 10851 pin is awarded to uniformed officers who, during a 12-month period, achieve one of the following criteria: make 6 separate auto theft recoveries by arrests, or recover 12 stolen vehicles, of which a minimum of 3 are cleared by arrest. The Vernon Police Department is very proactive in auto theft investigations, and 2 of our officers, Officer Patrick Cam and Officer Madrigal, who's here today. Alfonso, coming up, please. Both of these gentlemen have recently qualified for this recognition. This is the first 10851 award for Alfonso and the second for Officer Cam, who unfortunately couldn't be here today due to a personal medical matter. The department commends both Officer Cam and Officer Madrigal for their work in combating auto theft crimes in the community and applauds their accomplishments. So congratulations to Officer Madrigal. We will present Officer Madrigal and Officer Cam later during one of our briefings with the award once we get it back from the CHP. So again, unfortunately, they couldn't be here. They apologize, but we'll make sure that they get their awards. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Mayor, if we could go back to public comment, I believe someone has raised their hand.
Sure, we'll move
Is
back
that
to,
right, Dominic?
For a moment, there was a raised hand.
Yeah.
Let me see. if I can-
Is, who's the,
Yes, we have a raised hand now.
okay, we'll go back to public comment before we continue on with consent calendar. Go ahead.
And I'm allowing Leonard to speak.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Leonard Morales. I'm with the Los Angeles County Economic Development Corporation. And today, your mayor and members of the City Council, on behalf of the Los Angeles County Economic Development Corporation, It is my pleasure to honor the city of Vernon as a Gold Award recipient and finalist in the 2021 Most Business-Friendly City in the Los Angeles County during and in response to COVID-19. This award recognizes and celebrates the city of Vernon's demonstrated contributions to the economic development in the region that created a supportive environment for business recovery, reinvention, resilience, and growth during and response to the pandemic. Our judges were impressed by your innovative and business-friendly programs and resources dedicated to support business resiliency during this pandemic. The city of Vernon is a gold recipient and finalist in the small cities category, a population under 60,000. We applaud your efforts and encourage you to continue to develop and evolving business-friendly services and to get the word out to local business communities, brokers, site selectors, media, and LAEDC so we can continue to support business and workers' resiliency during this pandemic. As LAEDC just celebrated our 40th anniversary in history of driving action in support of a reimagined Los Angeles County economy that is growing, equitable, sustainable, and resilient by providing a healthy and high standards of living for all. Just like it takes a great team at LAEDC to accomplish our mission and vision, we know that this award was made possible by the city's visionary leadership and dedicated staff. Thank you. So now, on behalf of the LAEDC, I'd like to present the mayor and the city council with the certificate of gold honoring this city's accomplishment. We look forward to seeing you on November the 10th at the 80 Awards at the SoFi Stadium. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any further public comments?
There are none.
Thank you. Now we'll move on to consent calendar. All matters listed on the consent calendar are to be approved with one motion. Items may be removed from the consent calendar by any member of the council. Those items removed will be considered immediately after the consent calendar. Does council wish to pull any items from the consent calendar? I'd like to pull number 7. If there are no further items to be pulled.
Mayor?
Yes,
Would you consider pulling number 6 too, please?
sure. Number
so-
6 as well.
Thank you.
Are there any further ones? Great. At this time, may I have a motion for consent calendars number 2 to 5, 8 through 10? May I have a second? Okay, I got a move from Mayor Pro Tem Davis and a second from Councilmember Larios.
I'll call the roll to approve consent calendar items 2 through 5 and 8 through 10. Mayor Ibarra,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Davis,
Yes.
Councilmember Lopez,
Yes.
Councilmember Larios,
Yes.
Councilmember Merlo. Motion carries.
Thank you. Let's take number 7 first. He's here already. Okay, the only question I have is we're already on change order number 12,
Mhm.
and that's concerning for me. I'm used to 1 through very low numbers, but we're on double digits. Is there any way you guys can foresee any further changes?
I do not foresee any further changes. So the reason why we're on number 12 is this contract dates back to 2009. So it's an annual contract while we're designing the bridge. And there have been quite a few setbacks with dealing with various agencies involved. We've had everyone from California Department of Fish and Game to LADWP as far as agencies involved with this. And then we also have individual property owners. We're wrapping up our right-of-way acquisition. We've dealt with the railroads. We have them in agreement with the designs that are going on. And so we're almost at the point where we're ready to begin construction. And so this will take us through that phase foreseeably. We've had, well, like I said, we have agreement with all of the parties.
Mhm.
It's just a matter of getting things finalized with them. And that's what this next year will take us through. And then we'll actually be able to start construction.
And that we're still under budget, right? Because
We-
according to this, we're still,
Yes, so, and we have had increases from Caltrans. We request an increase because as this project continues to go on, of course, prices are escalating. So
Mhm.
we keep asking for additional funding and we've been receiving it.
okay, great. Just as long as everything's getting covered
Yep.
on the back end. Then may I get a motion for item number 7, or are there any further questions from council on this? Okay, may I get a motion on item number 7?
I'll move item number 7.
May I get a second?
Motion by Councilmember Lopez, seconded by Councilmember Merlo to find the action exempt under CEQA and approve and authorize the city administrator to execute agreement change order number 12 for the Atlantic Boulevard Bridge Rehabilitation and Widening Project. Mayor Ibarra.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Davis.
Yes.
Councilmember Lopez.
Yes.
Councilmember Larios.
Yes.
Councilmember Merlo. Motion carries.
Thank you. Now we'll move on to number 6.
Good morning, Mayor and members of City Council. The item before you establishes a classification of administrative intern. It provides for paid internship opportunities. This is a supplement to our current college volunteer program. The first department that's asked to have this position is in utilities. They're planning for the spring at this time to have a paid intern, and with their program, it would be reimbursed through the American Public Power Association for the cost. But this classification would be able to be used in any of the city's departments to provide internship opportunities for currently enrolled college students. Available to answer any questions you might have.
I have a quick question. Sorry. Are we targeting our local colleges, or would it be in the Southern California area?
We can certainly target local organizations. There's a lot of flexibility with the way it's established, and departments can reach out to schools that have programs specifically for a particular area or locally.
That was my question. I wanted to know how you guys were going to outreach to the colleges, to who was being made available to.
It would really be up to the department and what they have a need for, but we can target locally certainly, and like I said, or specialized programs depending on the area of the work or assignment that would be in each of the departments.
Okay.
Do you have a question?
Are there any further questions? No. If all further questions are answered, I may get a motion for item number 6.
I'll move.
Hearing a move from Councilmember Larios, a second from Lopez. I heard it here before this side.
I think they were all at the same time. Motion by Councilmember Lario, seconded by Councilmember Lopez to approve the job description of administrative intern and adopt resolution number 2021-37, amending the Exhibit A to classification and compensation plan. Mayor Ibarra.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Davis.
Yes.
Councilmember Lopez.
Yes.
Councilmember Larios.
Yes.
Councilmember Merlo. Motion carries.
Thank you. Now we'll go on to new business. Agenda item number 11 is sidewalk vendor regulations.
Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council, at the October 5th City Council meeting, an ordinance regulating sidewalk vending was presented for adoption. The council raised issues including vendor cost, insurance requirements, criminal background checks and fingerprinting, time of day and location restrictions, and penalties. To address vendor cost, under the previously proposed regulations, a vendor's initial cost to meet the requirements to obtain a permit are estimated to range from $821 for vendors that are not selling food to $1,608 for vendors selling food from a cart that has not previously had a health permit in California. These costs include a business license, health permit fee, health plan check fee, and background check fingerprinting fees. While other cities have an additional fee for the sidewalk vendor permit, Public Works recommends that there be no additional fee for this permit. For discussion and comparison, staff surveyed 8 cities with sidewalk vending ordinances. The cities are Burbank, Downey, Fullerton, Huntington Park, Norwalk, Paramount, San Fernando, and Southgate. Insurance requirements in those cities ranged from $2 million in coverage to no insurance requirement. 5 of the 8 cities required 1 million in coverage and 1 city required $500,000 in coverage. Risk management staff recommends that 1 million in coverage with an additional insured endorsement to minimize city liability be required. The cost of this insurance is estimated to be $30 to $75 per month, depending on the carrier and the type of goods being sold. And what I would like to do is have the council provide guidance to staff on each of these points as they are presented. So on page 4 of ordinance 1276 that was included in your packet, if you look at section 222.220, you'll see under item C, the last requirement there, which is requirement 5. It asks to provide proof of liability insurance as required by and in a form acceptable to the finance department. So this provides future flexibility in case limits raise, that kind of thing. But I would like, if I can get guidance from the council, if we're going to go forward with requiring insurance, or if you would like that stricken from a proposal that we bring forward for the new ordinance.
I have a comment. Since the insurance only comes out to $30 to $75 a month, I don't think it should be an issue. I'm okay with the requirement, but what does the additional insured endorsement mean?
So that asks that the city be listed as an additional insured. So the insurance isn't just for the vendor, but if somebody is to be injured and they decide to name the city as another party to the lawsuit, that the city is also covered by that same insurance.
Did you guys get a cost on that? How much more is it?
It's within that 30 to
It's
75.
included?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So I'm okay with that.
Are there any further questions? Is there any guidance for Public Works on anything? I think they're okay with
Okay.
everything right there.
Good. So the next item was background checks and fingerprinting. So 3 of the 8 cities require criminal background checks with fingerprinting, and the other 5 cities did not require any background check. Not requiring a background check would reduce a vendor's one-time initial cost by approximately $71 to $86, depending on where they got the background check with fingerprints. There is a chance that issuing permits to vendors without requiring criminal background checks could potentially create a liability for the city. But again, only 3 of the 8 cities surveyed had this as a requirement. So if I could get guidance from the council, and that would be on page 5 under item 5D, it's the requirement in that sample to undergo fingerprinting background check and submit the results to the city. So if I could have guidance, if we would like to continue to include that within the proposed ordinance, or if that should be stricken.
If they come back with something on their background, like are there items that we will waive, or how is that gonna work?
So it's what we're looking for are we're looking for sex crimes, basically. Because we will have vendors that potentially could have contact with children. So that would be somebody that we would not want to have within, that we would not want a license to have vending.
Probably certain. Well, I would think.
Okay. Council?
I think going back to the first meeting we had about this, it wasn't so much about the background, but the fingerprinting. And it's not so much about the cost. It's the, the fear of their documentation status, who's going to have access to this information. So can we do a background check without the fingerprints? Because I think that was a concern.
Yes, so we can, it's just not very effective, especially if a person is, for example, the concern is with undocumented people. So if a person isn't documented, how do we know who we're doing the background check on? That's why there's, if we're going to do it, we should do it with fingerprints, or else we just shouldn't do it.
Okay.
Because they can have a fingerprinted background check and it doesn't matter if they're documented or not.
Can you assure them that that information is private and it's not going to be shared with anyone?
Yes, we could We could inform them that we're not going to share that with anyone. We're not here to enforce federal law. We're just permitting somebody to be able to sell whatever they're going to be selling.
Maybe
So,
a disclosure or something indicating that it's, it stays within the city and it's confidential or something like that.
yeah, we could do that, and we could, yes, and we could actually include something in the ordinance perhaps that would help document that.
I do feel safer to know that, we're doing some type of background check to ensure that children and people are
It's
safe.
also a liability to keep save the
Exactly.
liability. So if you could work with legal on a disclaimer
Sure.
on that when you put it in the application.
So to clarify, it would be just an assurance that the fingerprinting would not trigger any notification to any other agencies.
Yeah.
Right.
Unless there's a warrant. PD, I'm looking at PD.
All right. And so the next is time of day and location restrictions. All 8 of the other cities place time of day restrictions on vendors operating near schools. 6 of the cities prohibited vendors from being within 500 feet of any school during certain times of days. One city prohibited vendors from being within 300 feet of any school or church during certain times of day. And one prohibited vendors from being within 1 block of a school during certain times of day. One of the 8 cities made an exception to the prohibition for vendors that as long as the vendors are selling healthy food, they're allowed to be next to the schools. The times of day that these prohibitions are in effect range from 24 hours a day, every day, to 1 hour before or 1 hour after student pickup or drop off. Staff recommends that vendors be prohibited from operating within 500 feet of any K-12 school from 1 hour before the start of classes to 1 hour after the end of classes. And based on observations made during the week of October 11th, there are no vendors currently operating adjacent to the Vernon City Elementary School. And so this wouldn't have an impact on a current vendor. This would be a prohibition on future vending. The reason why we're asking for this is to prevent congestion around an already very impacted area at an impacted time as far as traffic goes. And it's for the safety of pedestrian children, basically, and also to allow traffic to flow better. So if I could get guidance on that, if we would like to continue with the prohibition as recommended by staff, or if we would like to amend that.
Can I ask a question first? Because I know you're going to have a lot. When we talk about vendors, are we talking about food vendors in specific or any type of vendors?
It would be any type of vendor.
Okay, so I think that should be changed a little bit because sometimes kids like to buy snacks after school rather than somebody selling umbrellas. So I think that's where I would recommend it be categorized food versus everything else. If we can split that. Because I think food would be fine if it's not in the way of public right away. If it's to the side, they should be allowed to sell something at the church, near a school. I don't think anything else,
I
right?
think in order for the restriction, the time, place, manner restriction, I think it can't be specific to a type of vending. And correct me if you think, but I think the issue is more whether we believe it'll be an obstruction, like a public safety issue. So regardless of whether it's a retail good or like a food item, I think the restriction analysis would be the same.
Yes, that's right. So we have to craft this under the umbrella of what the state's allowing. So if we find that it is unsafe as far as traffic goes, or for whatever safety reason, that we have to have a prohibition on one type of vendor, it would apply to all vendors.
So looking at the city right now, where a position is, you're allowing 500 or what are you recommending?
So
500 or
my
300?
recommendation is 500 feet from the school, and that allows for pickup and drop off and children on the sidewalk type of thing. So that's my recommendation. However, if the council wants to move that to 300 feet or 100 feet, or 1,000 feet, it's up to the council.
I believe 500 feet is enough.
I have
Sufficient
a
for safety.
question. Can we get like input from school, like the principal, like if this would be an issue or they see it being an issue since it does affect them directly? I'd like to know what their thoughts on it are. Because if we, we make a decision and then they're like, oh no, we don't want the vendors, I'd rather have their input and then make a decision based off of that,
Okay, we can reach out
if
to them.
that's okay.
I'd broaden that and ask the residents, because you have residents next to a school as well.
Oh, I know, but this is just pertaining to schools, right?
There's residents within 500 feet from a school. So you'd have to broaden it, and it wouldn't just be a principal. It'd have to broaden to the church as well as the school.
Dan is a 500 feet with including the residents. Where does 500 feet put you?
So the
No, I don't know
residents are
exactly where it
immediately
is either.
adjacent to the school.
So they would have an issue with it?
If you're going to ask the principal, you might as well ask the church as
Church.
well as the residents.
How many residents are there?
10,
Is
12,
that like
12
possible
12 residents.
or is it kind of out of?
The city council could direct us to do that. It would be unusual to do that. But we could, it's at the discretion of the council.
Dan,
Is-
why
and
would it be,
then-
why would it be unusual?
Well, it'd be unusual to reach out to a specific group of residents because there are other regulations that apply to residents that are contained in this as far as operating hours and that kind of thing. And so once you start opening up an ordinance for input from residents, so there's already the public hearing component that goes on to allow people to voice their opinion at that time. To individually poll residents about one component, since there are other residential restrictions that are included in this, I guess the question would be, well, why don't we poll all the residents
That sounds
about?
a bit conflicting of
That's like
interest.
slippery
I don't
slope.
think- Yeah. to
So,
specific-
so during
And
public
then-
comment is when,
Yeah,
sorry,
go
so
ahead.
you're saying during public comment is when the principal as well as the church, as well as the residents and businesses surrounding can come in.
Right,
and
yes, and that's why it's a two-stage hearing as well. So
Okay.
whatever the changes are to this ordinance, it will be brought to the city council for a first reading. And then it will come back for a second reading as well. So there's two opportunities for the public to have their input on this.
Well, if that's the case, then I'd recommend the 500 feet, keep it at 500 feet and let's wait for public comment and hear back from them at that point.
Okay, I'm even okay with 300 feet and we don't need to do.
And I have another question. In regards to maybe limiting how many permits we allow in that, because it's a small area.
Right.
And the
And-
sidewalk is narrow as it is.
And so that's one of the things we have to live with from the state's regulation is that we're not allowed to limit the number of permits that are issued.
Even in a specific area?
Not allowed to do that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But there currently are none, right?
There
No.
currently are none.
Okay. Yeah, I think the closest one that I had seen was the one by Bank of America that's not there anymore.
Mhm.
Yeah. Which I would imagine is beyond the 500 feet.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And there's another one over by Wells Fargo.
Mhm.
You have a vendor there.
Yeah.
But
Okay,
just the
okay.
500 and let the public speak if they have an issue on
Okay.
it.
Okay.
And then, see, the last thing that the council brought up at the previous meeting was penalties. So the penalty amounts that are included in the proposed ordinance are the maximum that are allowed by the state. The Public Works Department's approach to obtaining compliance with the Vernon Municipal Code is by implementing the 3 E's, and those are education, encouragement, and enforcement. In the spirit of this approach, staff recommends that a written warning first be given to vendors that are out of compliance with the regulation and that penalties be imposed for subsequent violations. So the change that this would create in the ordinance would be to add an additional number on page 7. So on page 7, at 250 violation penalty, we would add a new one, item 1, which would be written warning for first violations. And then the current item 1 would be changed to 2, and instead of first violation, a $250 fine, it would be second violation. Number 2 would become 3, and $500 for a third violation instead of a second violation. And then item 3 would become 4, which is $1,000 fine for each additional violation within 1 year of the first. So in this way, we're codifying the approach that we're planning to take so that there is a written warning first before there's any penalties.
Does that go on to B as well?
Yes, that would go on to be as well.
So the first would also be a written.
Yes, first would be a
So
written.
everything moves down one. So
Everything-
one would be written and then everybody subsequently change.
Yep.
Okay, any questions on that one? You're good?
I'm okay with it.
Okay, just with the, I think we did a change. Did we offer a change on something?
Yes, so the violations, we've decided to go forward with liability insurance requirements. We're going to go forward with fingerprinting, but we're going to have a disclaimer that explains what the fingerprinting does. And also, the fingerprinting isn't done at a police station. It's done at vendors, and there are a number of vendors that are in Huntington Park that will do this. So it's storefronts and it's live scan. Usually they also offer notary services and that kind of thing. So it's a much less intimidating thing than somebody going to the police station to get their fingers rolled. So but we will certainly have the disclaimer, and we will provide that as part of the education process when somebody comes to the public counter to be walked through how
And
to.
you offer a list of places where they offer these
We
services.
we
on,
we
right?
we certainly could do that. Yes.
If we can just add that.
Yep. And then location specific, we'll keep as is with a 500-foot limit from the school, and the hours will be 1 hour before the start of classes to 1 hour after the start of classes, after which time vendors are free to be in that area.
Great.
Mhm.
Other than that, does council have any other further questions? And you have direction from council.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we'll go on to, sorry about that. Let me flip my page. Okay, now, do you need a vote on that? No? Okay, now we'll go on to oral reports. Any oral reports?
Good morning, Honorable Mayor and City Council members. So Halloween Spooktacular went off without a hitch. The community outreach was a great success, and I want to thank everyone that participated, and a big thank you to the police department for doing an amazing Coco themed maze and their noteworthy guests. The mariachis were also fabulous, and the amazing entertainment and the Helping Hand Society providing the Disney costumes were a big hit as well. So we'll share some photos on social media really soon with the City Council. Today, following the City Council meeting, we're inviting the City Council members to come up to City Admin and join in the raffle prize winners to select from the Vernon residents who shared their door decorating costumes with the city. Operation Cleanup. This past Friday, the city crews and Vernon Police Department partnered with the Union Pacific Rail to coordinate and clean up the rail spur located off Malberg Way. Debris was cleared out manually, and a bulldozer facilitated the removal of unwanted vegetation in the area. The recent cleanup is aligned with the goal of Public Works to take the lead in maintenance and encourage property owners to join the city. These partnerships will nurture their community with cleaning up the city of Vernon. The work ensures that Vernon remains safe, pleasant, and clean city to live and work. Holiday season events. So we're officially in November. Holidays are approaching fast, so please note there'll be a couple of events on the horizon. One of the first you'll see is the city of Vernon's elevated tank. We'll put the Christmas colors up, and then a happy holiday greetings from the city to the public. Second, on December 2nd, here at the City Hall, we'll have the Vernon tree lighting ceremony. We will also be bringing in snow for that event, and so we are inviting the kids from the Vernon residents, and then we'll also try to see how we can incorporate the elementary students. The Huntington Park Holiday Parade is December 11th, and again, all city council members are invited to participate in that event. I do understand that Freddie will be driving the vaccine van through. And then we have Operation Santa on December 15th, which also city council members are invited. And then we'll be sponsoring families of needy families this year as well. Typically, some departments have sponsored certain families and assisted them. And then December 16th, is that the right date, Michael? December 16th will be our holiday Christmas event, which will be at the Doubletree Hotel. Okay, council meeting schedules for the next couple of weeks. Due to the upcoming holidays and time-sensitive city business that's underway that's related to the Malberg Generating Station accusation, the city of Vernon should anticipate several special meetings and note that the cancellation of the December 21st and the January 4th regular meetings. So we're looking at having some special meetings in between, and we will make those available via Zoom attendance if we can. Council and the public will receive appropriate notification of each meeting, and the announcement is simply to make the council aware of all activities to come over the next couple of weeks. With that, we'll go into, oh, Dan, I want Dan to talk about the air quality monitor that we have set up.
Yeah.
Sorry. So B is not bad air quality. It's, you'll notice B probably more often than A. And again, that's just because that's the air quality that we have in the LA basin. So anyway, with that, if there's ever any questions, just feel free to reach out to me. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any further comments? Anything from council at this time? We'll now move into closed session. Thank you, everybody.
There are no public comments. There are none.